Hey everyone, Daniel and Gav here with the Superhero Show as always.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by.
What do you mean stopping by? Thank you for saving the day. What you meant to say.
So this week, our review of Ant-Man is now live. Check it out. I generally really liked it. We gave it 8.7. We said it was great. And we saw it early in the week. Review embargo's lifted. We're going to talk a lot about Ant-Man in the first section of the show. We're going to try wherever possible not to go in spoilers.
No, I don't think we're trying to spoil it. I don't think it's fair to spoil it. It's not out yet. So
we'll hold back. But we're all going to talk about the film. So if you actually want to go in knowing nothing, maybe skip forward in the show, listen to the feedback.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about why you shouldn't... Because I feel like a lot of people are being quite dismissive of that, man, because it's had a trouble production.
Dude, I was. Like, I didn't want to go see it. Like, I didn't really want to do anything with it because I think we even had a conversation. I was like, I'm telling you now, this is going to be Marvel's first flop. When I saw that first trailer...
You said that, like about 3-4 months ago.
When I saw the first trailer, I was just like, this is going to be Marvel's first flop. I swear to God. And then when I went to see it, I didn't drag my heels. I was kind of excited about seeing it because I'd spoken to other people who'd seen it as well. And it's just really good. Yeah. Maybe I went in with such low expectations, though, that's why I found it really good.
Also, I think... We're going to get onto a bit of feedback where people say we're very pro-Marvel. I don't think we're at all, but I think people make that comparison.
I think I watch it every week. They're like, going on about Marvel again, are they?
Shut up.
Brilliant.
But it's like in that Pixar situation where I don't think they can make a terrible movie because there's too many people, there's too much invested in it. They're not going to make a terrible movie. No. But at the same time, this is the one where everyone was cautious going in. Yeah. Because of the trouble production, got shifted shooting. Yeah. Edgar Wright, Joe Cornish kind of stepped down from it. Like, people are like, what's going on with this movie? Yeah. There's a last minute rewrite by Adam McKay and Paul Rudd, who stars in the movie. Yeah. And went in, really enjoyed it.
It was really good.
I really enjoyed it. I thought...
We should point out as well, like, so we obviously stayed for both credit scenes. Yeah. Well, I can't remember what the first one was, but we'll have to talk about it later. I can remember what the second one was because it's really good, so make sure you stay to the end. But on the credits is like story by Edgar Wright, Joe Cornish, screenplay by Edgar Wright, Joe Cornish, Adam McKay, Paul Rudd. Like, they're still top billing. It's still Edgar Wright's script.
Yeah, and I've got really annoyed in the last week where lots of people are saying, oh yeah, you can detect that's an Edgar Wright sequence. You don't know You don't know what Edgar Wright's film would have been. Like, we don't know that. There are certain sequences in the movie where you think, oh, I can imagine Edgar Wright doing something similar. Yeah. But I think that does a massive disservice to Peyton Reed and other people who actually stepped up and made the movie. Yeah. I think there's this weird kind of elevation of Edgar Wright. Like, I love Edgar Wright's movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think he's a great director, and I think he would have probably made a really good movie. But like, I feel like we're fixating on what could have been and what actually has come to pass. Which was a really entertaining movie.
I really was as well because I love Edgar Wright. Like, anything he does, I just absolutely love. But I kind of was the same as well. Like, I read a review today that was just so terrible, and they'd written that review before they'd even seen that film. Yeah, like they'd gone in like they were going in basically defending Edgar Wright from it. And I don't think you need to at all because you can watch some sequences and go, oh, I can kind of see how that's an Edgar Wright bit or something like that, or how maybe he would have shot it a little bit differently. But to be honest, there's not much in the film that I go, oh, that was rubbish. It's shot in such a great way. And like, as you say something really interesting to me about the way that they shoot like the small sequences. Like, so like everything feels like you're really small. Like, the sound design on the film is so good.
What's interesting, like, in the last kind of week, there's been this absolute bombardment of features and featurettes and clips and extended clips and on Facebook and Twitter, where we've seen lots more of the action sequences when he's small. Yeah. What I actually enjoyed going and see the film, and like, hopefully you've kind of avoided a lot of those features, is I've seen very little of the sequences when he's little.
Yeah, that's good.
And went in, and the way that they've done it is so good. They've used I think it's called microphotography, where they've used camera lenses to capture these environments, and then composite Paul Rudd into those environments. Right. Okay. And they feel like so weirdly real because they are real. They are real. And there's lots of sequences that they've completely kept back, and they have such an impact in the actual movie.
Man, the first time that he shrinks down, like, I won't spoil where it is or anything like that, but the first time that he shrinks down, my face was just like, like, it was like the first time I watched like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids when I was a kid, or like In a Space or something like that. I was just like, I was so excited for it. I was just like, it's just fun. Like, the entire film is just fun. Like, Paul Rudd carries the film so brilliantly well. Also, Michael Douglas is in a Marvel film, a superhero movie, and he's brilliant in it.
Yeah, I think Michael Douglas as Hank Pym adds a real gravitas to proceedings. Definitely, and that's what we said in our review. But what is great, and again, not going to go into spoilers, but kind of just touching upon it a bit, he adds kind of history to the Marvel universe.
Yeah, definitely.
Ant-Man, I think all along has been sold upon its closing phase 2.
Yeah.
And I think they've really sold it as like, oh, it's this more kind of self-contained Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But actually, on the quiet, it adds to the Marvel universe in so many ways. And we'll talk about this like next week or
when
the
it's
week
out.
after when the
Yeah.
movie's out, and we'll go into more spoilerific detail.
Yeah.
But it adds some really key stuff to the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
And like we came out going, oh, I can see where maybe that's going to go to.
Yeah,
and what
definitely,
character
yeah.
that maybe that sets up.
Yeah.
It really contributes. And also the Michael Douglas, Hank Pym stuff. It adds history to the
Definitely,
Marvel
yeah.
universe, like Peggy Carter does. This universe is getting filled in backwards as well.
Yeah.
Which I think's really cool.
Also, it sets up, as we said, like, you could do like an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Like, because the very first scene is such a good scene, and it's like, it sets up something that could happen. Yeah. I think in our minds, we were like, why couldn't you just go back in time and do all this different
Well,
cool
just
stuff?
like the X-Men movies of recent,
Yeah.
of late, are kind of going back and filling in early years. The
Yeah.
Marvel Universe, like, obviously we're going forward with the main storyline.
Yeah.
But there's definitely scope to do prequels and flashbacks
Yeah.
and, like, filling in the gaps.
100%.
That beyond
yeah.
just TV.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think so. And I think, like, as you said, like, even though they're trying to say, like, it's a really standalone one and it's, like, going to be its own thing, it fills in more. It feels more connected to, like, Avengers in the Marvel Universe than Guardians did. And I love Guardians, don't get me wrong, but, like, Guardians feels like its own
it's
thing.
more one-shot.
Yeah,
I almost
yeah.
felt like Guardians was this thing that they did and went, right, okay, let's put our toe in the water.
Yeah.
Or people are going to buy into this cosmic thing.
Yeah.
And, like, I saw an interview with Kevin Feige the other day, and you know when they announced the whole Slate 3 presentation, they wanted to do that at Comic-Con, but they couldn't because they needed Guardians to come out and be a hit before they could say, yeah, we're going to do Inhumans and Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
needed people to buy into the cosmic as a thing before they could announce all this other stuff.
Yeah. I wish, like, when it comes out, we'll have a really good conversation about something that happens in the film, because there's something that's, considering this is, like, aimed at a younger audience, there's something that happens in the film that you just think, how are they getting away with that? Like, properly, like, how have they decided that they can definitely get away with that? They've, like, it seems like Ant-Man, for me, it seems like such a, not a safe bet, but it seems like it's a kid's film, it does this, it does this. It does some really weird stuff.
Well, I think for a lot of the time, and a lot of the early trailers, there's a lot of lines in the trailers that aren't actually in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think it became a thing online to go, oh, they're doing an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't Ant-Man weird?
Yeah.
Who cares about Ant-Man?
Yeah.
But what actually they delivered is the movie still has that sensibility. It was like, oh, Ant-Man's a weird character.
Yeah.
But they kind of put that to one side quite quickly. The majority of the film is like, something serious is happening.
Yeah.
And a lot of the storyline is still serious, so you
Yeah.
take it seriously. So I spoke to some friends before the movie. It's like, why do I care about superheroes? It's actually quite rubbish.
Yeah.
Watch the movie. He's not rubbish at all.
No,
He's amazing.
He's really good.
He's astonishing.
Well, that's one of the things, you know, in the trailers, and that's one of the, like, central themes of the film is, this guy's too powerful.
Yeah.
Like, he's too powerful
That's
to
the
actually
thing.
be a made thing.
That's the thing, like, it's not a spoiler, but you might want to skip it. But, like, there's one line in the movie where Hank Pym says about the Ant-Man technology. It's like, because it's not like the Iron Man suit. It's not like a plaything.
Yeah.
This can alter the texture of reality.
Yeah.
Like, it's an insanely powerful
Yeah.
product, like, technology he's developed
Yeah.
in chemical form. And I think it's going to have a much bigger impact on the Marvel Universe than we ever thought it would do.
But also, like, it's still such a, like, I'm going to say it's such a small film, because obviously it's about ants. But it's such a small film. It's basically like a heist film. It's like, it's training someone up to do something, and it's like, it's a really cool heist film.
There's three heists in the movie, I can remember. There's 3 key heists.
Yeah.
And I know we've played a lot on that, like, Winter Soldier was really good because it tapped into like a 70s paranoid thriller.
Yeah.
And like, it's still, they wear that influence on the sleeve a little bit. But
Yeah.
there's still structured heists. You're assembling different people to do different things.
Totally.
Different ants do different jobs in the
Yeah.
heist. I quite like that a lot.
Different jobs, different needs.
Different ants for different needs. But anyway, I should wrap this up. But like,
Yes.
both of us really like the movie. Chris, a little bit less so.
Yeah.
But I think we can kind of go on to why maybe next week or the week after.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
But are you excited for Ant-Man? Are you a little bit trepidatious? Let us know. superheroShow@ign.com. Should we move on to a big bit of feedback? Okay,
All right,
so I'm going to
cool.
go first. So I'm going to go back to what we were talking about last week with superhero
Didn't watch it.
themes. Well, it's fine.
Add stuff on.
It's on demand right now on IGN and YouTube.
Oh, I might go watch after this.
You should do.
This will make more sense to me.
First up, Robert Lee has written in. We were talking about our favourite theme tunes. He said,
what was yours? Sorry.
I picked 3, so thanks for watching. So let's find messing up. X-Men animated series.
Oh, so good.
Thor Kills the Destroyer from the Thor the movie's really good. Patrick Doyle. and Molossus from Batman Begins. It's basically the Batman Begins theme.
Okay, right.
Anyway, what would yours be? I'll put you on the spot, come back to me.
Yeah.
When talking about the best superhero theme song, one came to mind that Chris would most definitely relate it to, and that is the theme of Kick-Ass by Henry Jackman. That's just my take on the best superhero theme, though I think in my book the theme from The Dark Knight comes as close second and the Avengers theme as third, but Kick-Ass
Avengers theme?
overall.
I couldn't tell you what the Avengers theme is.
We'll get on to that in a minute.
I think that's a good marking of if it's good. Can you sing it right now?
Read your bit.
Okay. This is from Ryan Pollard. My favourite superhero theme would have to be the Batman Arkham City theme. For me, this is the ultimate Batman theme. It completely captures that universe, makes you feel like you are Batman.
I couldn't agree more, Ryan. Like I almost put that into my picks last week.
Did you? You should have.
Yeah, in Arkham City, there's a bit where
you were like, I've already been weird. I've put the TV show one in. Get on with it, mate.
Pathetic. And then it's like midway through Arkham City when it all goes to pot and the tower. Nick Arundel's theme's so good. I was playing to Alex in the office the other day. Carl McCabe has written in. He's a huge fan and he's been watching the show for a while. And we inspired him to get into comics.
Wow.
So we can take credit for that.
I can take credit for that.
I have a problem with your best theme tunes, however.
Excellent.
Although I agree with all your choices, I feel you missed out on a huge tune, which I feel doesn't get enough credit, and that is the closing credits in The Avengers. I feel it is huge and heroic, and it's the perfect song to sum up what a huge movie that was. Your thoughts, please. You're not a fan? I would say...
I think the music in Avengers is terrible.
I actually think it's better than a lot of the other Marvel music.
Well, go marry her then, if you love it so much.
Child.
It's so nondescript superhero action to me. Like
I can't hum it, but I can't hum any tunes. Like I'm very non-musical, but I do think that's more catchy than a lot of the other Marvel movies. It's more of a theme.
Yeah.
Like, could you hum the theme from The Incredible Hulk or Iron Man?
No.
But Avengers, you kind of know what it is. There is more to latch onto as a theme.
I think the only one out of all of them that, if pushed, I could sing is the X-Men main theme. Yeah. That's the only one, if pushed, I could probably sing. I'm not going to do it now.
Oh, it was pathetic. Okay.
I don't have any more on this. So we have some feedback from Jordan Lowe, and he says, as I do like Marvel a lot, there are plenty of their films that were just whatever. But nothing about BVS, Batman vs Superman, excites you. Are you kidding me? Maybe the fact it's Batman and Superman in a movie for the first time ever is not enough. It's okay, but after I saw Age of Ultron, nothing in that movie excited me. Ultron was such a pansy. Also, it was the same as the first Avengers, just with robots this time. But hey, you guys are so pro-Marvel, it's insane. What you got to say to old Jordan Lowe, mate?
So, several things to clarify. One, nothing about Batman versus Superman excited Chris.
Yeah.
That's something Chris said. But also, I think we get this comment a lot.
I'm on his side, though. It's Batman versus Superman. Even if it's rubbish, it's still Batman.
No, I agree.
Fighting
but also,
Superman.
I think we get that feedback a lot that we're really pro-Marvel.
You are?
And no, because the show
you love them.
Shut up.
No.
The show really focuses on like film and TV adaptations.
Yeah.
And by and large, when we're talking about film stuff, like Marvel have made so many more films.
Yeah.
And we got an email a few weeks ago. It's like, oh, but like DC made loads of films. We're talking about like the new big continuities.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So far, DC have only done Man of Steel, so there's very little to judge them on. And
all right. So we're ignoring Nolan then.
But it's not part of the bigger plan, as it were.
Okay,
like, not that we've ignored them, but they came before we started doing the show.
Yeah.
So, by and large, a lot of the time is sucked up by what's happening now.
Yeah.
And DC have only made one movie in that continuity.
Right.
And...
Right.
Don't you start.
No, I'm on your side a little bit.
Because some of my favourite characters are DC characters. Some of my favourite comics are DC comics. But that's the stuff we talk about on the show.
Fine.
Don't need you being cynical as well.
I'm not being cynical.
Okay, next bit of feedback is I'm going to talk about the Batman Solo movie. This is the film that
Batman Han Solo movie.
Batfleck is rumored to.
He's fighting Han Solo now. He beat Superman. He's going up into space.
Oh, you're never coming back on the show. So, Batman Solo movie. The question is, when the solo Batman film is coming out, who do you think the villain will be? Ooh. Simon Anderson suggests, I personally think the Riddler will take on the Caped Crusader because he will challenge him in a different way than we have seen in previous Batman movies. Who do you think the villain will be?
See, I would say, I think one of my favourite villains, I think better than Joker in the last couple of years, except for Heath Ledger, I think, which I think is probably the best villain. I think.
Oh yeah, a bit of an unusual choice though. It's fine.
No, but like he was just brilliant. But I really like Bane. Like I thought, like he generally
I love the
terrifies
rendering
me.
of all this.
He properly terrifies me. But one of my favorite villains has been Scarecrow in the Arkham games. Like
Scarecrow's so good.
He's so good, and like if you think like the first one, it was kind of like those were everyone's favorite bits. Like when you just like you're doing these like crazy sort of like platformy bits.
I think that's why they brought him
like,
back for the Arkham Knight. It's like, let's make him our like Rocksteady basically elevated him as a Batman villain. Like before, he's been a Batman villain for a long time, but they've really elevated him.
Yeah, and I think games, in fairness, like games and animated show maybe is the best place to put Scarecrow because he can do all this crazy stuff. Like, and I think with the reason I liked him in the Batman games is that he can like mess around with video game convention. So like, okay, now you've actually got to be in an old school platformer type thing, and you're just like, this would be ridiculous in a film. Yeah. But because it's in a game, you're just like, actually, that's really sweet. I
think Batman Begins managed Scarecrow pretty well. Like there's certain sequences, like with the fear toxin, when Batman gives it to Scarecrow at the end.
Oh, he looks Batman,
and he's he's oozing like bile from his mouth or tar.
That's really horrible. Yeah,
horrible. Or when all the thematically it works so well for Batman, who is all about inspiring fear in the hearts of the people he confronts. So when you see him at the end, and he's like that terrifying black angel above Gotham. But I think Riddler worked really good. Like there was lots of rumor about Riddler turning up in the Nolan movies. It never happened. Yeah. DiCaprio I think was rumored for a long time.
Also Robin Williams. Like also recently Snyder's used Batman a lot in Batman the Year Zero. And I think there's a way of doing Riddler in a way that could be really intriguing for a standalone movie. I don't think it's gonna be him though. I think people still remember it. I think you've got to get away from all that stuff, but I guess they went back and did Joker.
But the Joker is they're already doing Joker. Like it's interesting. Like after the Suicide Squad, when all these villains are suddenly up and running, do you take a punt and effectively waste screen time setting up a new villain when you can maybe just steal a villain from Suicide Squad? Who kind of audience, you know what I mean? Like
I do know what you mean.
The problem with like Marvel movies always get is like, oh, the villain's underdeveloped. But ultimately, would you rather spend more time with a villain or the hero?
Well, that's what happens in the Nolan films. Like you know, especially in the last two.
But I think with the Joker, it's time well spent.
Yeah.
Whereas some other villains, you'd be like,
well, I thought with Bane it was time well spent as well. Really.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it's execution.
I think something like imagine doing something like Hush, like in film. I think that'd be really good.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. I'd like to see that because it's so weird and it can fill in a lot of gaps and it can fill in a lot of gaps while it's still pushing the story forward.
I do wonder
or do you think you think you have to know more before you can actually go in?
I think you need to know more about that character. I feel like certain villains that work well in Arkham Knight or in comics play upon a certain degree of knowledge that you couldn't get away with a mainstream audience, where the reveal would come and they'd be like, okay, who's that? Like, oh, it's that guy. And I think if you did in a film context, you would have to put a scene where Bruce knew him as a kid, so it'd be so obvious who the villain was in the final act.
Okay, yeah, that's annoying. So the Batman, I got one from Simon Hamilton about this Batman standalone movie. It says the Batman standalone movie has to be a movie version of The Killing Joke or the iconic Death in the Family story arc. With Affleck behind the camera and behind the suit, I think would be the perfect time for DC to allow one of the biggest and most iconic stories hit the big screen. They should allow it to be Certificate 18, it's not going to happen, so that we can finally get the true depth of those stories. Simon from Shropshire. That's not going to happen.
They're going to make an 18. Also, I don't think you need to make an 18 to have depth. No,
definitely not.
Like, no one did a lot with a 12A.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch Dark Knight, that feels like a hard film.
It's horrible.
It's a horrible film. It's a 12A.
So is Dark Knight Rises though. Like there's some really mean stuff in there. Like all the Scarecrow stuff, where like all the trial stuff and like ripping people out of their homes and stuff. There's people being dragged around by their hair. Like it's really hard to watch that stuff.
You get away with a lot,
definitely
through like tone and stuff. But like
get away with a lot just in life, mate. Not just.
I don't know whether they do Killing Joke would be cool, but like it'd be cool to do an end of days Batman, like the last Batman story.
Yeah.
And they're trying to play up like an older Batman, so there might be I think you've got the last Batman.
I have. With a Batman standalone, maybe they go for like a thriller and show the world's greatest detective side of Batman. Good.
Yeah. Well, if you read Detective Comics as well as Batman, Detective Comics does a better job of maybe sometimes playing up that thriller aspect, like Black Mirror or something like that. It was a serial killer. It'd be quite cool to do. Next up, Black Panther.
Okay.
Okay, this is from Michael Frost. He says, my question for you guys is regarding the release date for Black Panther. As you know, the first Black Panther movie is due out in July 2018. The problem is the first part of Avengers Infinity War is due to be released in May 2018 and will no doubt include Black Panther as one of the Avengers in the movie. My question is, what will the storyline be for the standalone Black Panther movie? I assume that at the end of the Infinity Wars Part 1, Pooh will have hit the storyline fan before the Avengers will be, and the Avengers will be in a lot of trouble, leaving it on a cliffhanger, etc. So basically, what do they do with the Black Panther movie after the fact? Right. So originally, I don't know if you know, the timeline was Black Panther was going to be before Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Once they signed the deal with Sony and to make a standalone Spider-Man movie,
yeah,
Black Panther got bumped. So it now falls in between the two Infinity War movies, which is weird because surely that character is going to be tangled up in the events of the first Infinity War. So what do you do with that movie?
Yeah, I don't know.
It does make me feel like it might be a flashback then.
Okay.
Which is strange, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Next. This is a cool one from Abayomi Finney, who says character suggestions, and there's a load of exclamation marks. It says, I was just wondering what you guys thought about a few character suggestions I had for a couple of characters for upcoming DC movies. So here we go. He's got loads. I think he watches Friday Night Lights because there's a lot of Friday Night Lights people on there. But he says Idris Elba as Green Lantern. That's cool. I'd like to see that. I'm up for that. Taron Egerton as Robin or Nightwing. That's cool. But I want him to play Han Solo. So
you're always banging on about it.
Yeah, he's really good. That's why.
I'm not saying he's not.
And he's Welsh. So that's
is Idris Elba?
Probably not. I don't know. P.S. Do you think Zac Efron could ever play a superhero? And if so, which one? And will Taylor Kitsch ever play another superhero originally playing Gambit in Origins, the Wolverine one? I think Taylor Kitsch should, because I think he's just brilliant, but I think he's had such a rough time with things. Like, he's John
Carter.
Yeah, John Carter's terrible. He didn't really have anything to do with Gambit, to be honest, but he's really good in True Detective Season 2.
Yeah.
He's a great actor as well. Like, if you watch him in Friday Night Lights, like, he does so... Like, he doesn't have to do very much for him to you just want to watch him, and obviously absolutely beautiful as well to look at. So
yeah, I think Zac Efron would make great Spider-Man, but terrible Peter Parker. He's too cool. He's too good looking.
The same with Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield is beautiful man.
He's too cool to be a Peter Parker. I can imagine him being an amazingly cocky Spider-Man.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you gotta have both things in you. And but I think like a lot of people always get down on these types of people, like Zac Efron and stuff like that. And I think like if you watch Bad Neighbors, or Neighbors as it's called in the US, like he's so good in it, and he's great. He's
got a lot of charisma. Yeah, like, that's undoubted. Final email is from Tyler, and he's from Texas. Hey Tyler, I want to get your opinions on the possibility of Disney and Sony working together to create a great Spider-Man game. Given the continued success of the Arkham series, it only becomes more apparent that Marvel is greatly behind DC in the video game department, and I think Spider-Man could be perfect character to help them with that dilemma.
The Spider-Man games were brilliant, though, at one
as
point.
well as to build excitement for the solo Spider-Man movie in 2017. He cites Spider-Man 2 as like one of the great Spider-Man games, much like how in Arkham Knight some of Batman's greatest stories, The Killing Joke, The Death in the Family, Under the Hood, were incorporated. A new Spider-Man could draw from stories like Kraven's Last Hunt and The Night Gwen Stacy Died.
Yeah.
Today, the greatest Spider-Man game, in my opinion, has been Spider-Man 2, based on the Sam Raimi movie of the same name.
It was good.
It was great. But the thing, more than anything with that Spider-Man game on PlayStation, I played it loads.
Yeah.
But it was more just
fun,
swinging around a big New York. Like, I couldn't tell you anything about what I actually did in the game. The story elements, I can't really remember anything. I remember just being happy to
beat people up.
Web-sling.
Yeah.
Just the act of going like up a building and jumping off it, and it was just that freedom to be Spider-Man. And I do think they can make a great Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
And look at Arkham. The template is there, like the building blocks are there, like open world navigation.
Like now, Rocksteady are done with Batman. Do you think they would ever betray Warner Brothers and DC and go off and do... They're not owned by them.
Are they definitely not owned?
I'm pretty sure they're not.
Because I do think their next game is going to be an original thing.
Do you think?
I think so. Like, they've been so adamant. Like, you wouldn't say it to the extent they've said it. Like, their next game is not going to be a Batman game. They're not going to do Batman. I think they'll do an original thing, which would be interesting to see.
I don't know. I think basically they've got so much love from doing the Batman stuff that they could literally pick whatever license they want and be like, we'll do a game on that. So if I was them, I wouldn't want to do an original thing. I would want to go off and do something.
But maybe
cool.
they don't want to do licensed stuff. Like yeah, maybe you have to do it because it's like how many years have they been doing that now? 6, 7, something like that. Like 8, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe they do want to do something original. Like I'd love to see them do Spider-Man because I think like Spider-Man does have a great rogues gallery like Batman, and the way that the Arkham games structure their villains and give them different storylines would work really well with Spider-Man. Because a lot of the Spider-Man games, a lot of the mission stuff, it could be any villain. It's just beating people up. Whereas I think, you know, like in the Batman games, there's great stealth sections. Yeah. They'll work really well with Spider-Man. Do stealth bits as well. Yeah. Because they did that in some of the games where they'd have stealth sections where you're like climbing on the ceiling. Yeah. But it obviously was a lot less developed than in...
Well, I have to say, like, I've played a lot of the Batman stuff now. I think the fear takedown is probably the most rubbish thing in the game. I just don't get it. I don't get why it's there.
You'll get it later on.
Okay,
where it gets really hard.
Okay.
It's basically, I think it's this thing where they give a lot of the guys more guns.
Right.
So it becomes really useful later on if you need to take out multiple guys with guns. Okay, otherwise, you're just kind of screwed. Right, it's kind of a concession to that a little bit.
Don't put more guns in, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, Batman doesn't like guns. So.
Exactly,
yeah. Done. So yeah, that's it for feedback this week. If you've got anything you want to talk about,
that's
Marvel,
long.
DC or anything, that's what we get. We give people a platform to give dissenting opinions if they want. You can email us anytime, superhero@ign.com. And until next week, for everything Marvel, DC, all the rest, stay right here on IGN.
Should we intro it? Should we show you how to intro it?
Sorry, mate. I've done 76 episodes.
Should we show you how to intro it?
Chris.
Hello and welcome to the...